don't matter. That's fine. One of y'all can if you want to. That'd be great.
How many times you
I don't mind. I've rung it quite a few now.
I want to make sure I get it right. Ask him how many times you read that thing. I said, I want to make sure.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there.
You want me to go with this or you want me to wait? You want
No,
me to
go ahead. Go ahead.
start?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. It's a half ringer.
Do you unlock that door so it doesn't have to go all the way?
It is. It's unlocked. I unlocked it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
About time you showing up, we're gonna send somebody after you.
Good morning, friends and neighbors of Arnie's Fairview United Methodist Church here in the downtown area of Worry, North Carolina. We bring you greetings from the Lord this morning, and for fathers, we wish you happy Father's Day. I want to open our service this morning with yet another hymn from our Methodist hymnal. It's number 576. You will recognize the words. Rise up, O men of God, have done with lesser things. Give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. Rise up, O men of God, the kingdom tarries long. Bring in the day of brotherhood and end the night of wrong. Rise up, O men of God, the church for you doth wait. Her strength unequal to her task, rise up, make her great. Lift high the cross of Christ, tread where his feet have trod. As brothers of the Son of Man, rise up, O men of God. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Father's Day. Thank you. Folks, Father's Day may have been celebrated as early as the 5th century. In the Christian church, various festival Sundays celebrate Christ's forefathers from Adam to Abraham. It is thought that the first Father's Day in the United States was celebrated in 1907 after a mining incident in West Virginia took the lives of a group of men. In 1909, Sonora Dodd of Spokane, Washington, proposed the holiday, but it didn't become a permanent national holiday until President Nixon signed it into law in 1972. Now, every year, we celebrate our fathers and father figures to all who have taken on the solemn work of a father. To those of you who are outside the United States, we bid you good morning. To those on the far left coast, we bid you good morning. And to others everywhere in between, especially in Virginia and in Georgia and in Florida. We titled today's message, Fathers. I know that surprises you. I'll look for some definitions of father, like we need them. And the one I saw says protector, teacher, encourager. He picks you up when you fall, brushes you off, and lets you try again. It also said, see also, banker, hero, playmate, and coach. Folks, we know that our fathers are so much more than anything that could possibly be written. I'm not sure that we have vocabulary enough to express all that our fathers were. To us, we lack vocabulary to express those things. One of the things that came to me was a story of, it was a picture actually, of a little boy, appeared to be 6, 7, 8 years old. And the caption read, said, Dad, I'm watching you. And they are. Whether we are fathers, grandfathers, or just a significant other, or playing the role of father. Man, I want to tell you, these kids are watching us, are watching you. Everything that we do, everything that we say, if we're not careful, we're going to hear it or see it within hours or certainly within just a few days. Dad, I'm watching you. It comes to us then that we share a responsibility for the next generation. Perhaps we can dissuade them from making some of the same mistakes that we have made, though it's doubtful. I thought about this, and I don't remember who I discussed it with, not too long in the past, how smart our world would be today if every generation listened to the one before and learned, and then added what they knew to that. It would be a tremendous world. But it seems like every generation has to relick the same calves over and over and over again. We have to learn that the stove is hot and will burn. Even so, we must be the man or the men that God has called us to be. I remember, some of you do too, probably, a movement of the 90s. I don't know that it would call it a movement. It was a very evangelical mega church, if you would, or parachurch, called Promise Keepers. Bill McCartney was his name. He was head football coach from the University of Colorado who founded Promise Keepers. The movement was simply to men, be the man that God called you to be. Be the worship leader of your family. Tony Evans told us in Charlotte to be better men, and we would have a better nation. Folks, we look at the television today, and we see these young people. And I don't want to be very facetious here, but I'm going to be. Most of those have never heard the sound of a leather belt being stripped through 7 loops on a belt, on a pant. They just have not. If they had, chances are very great that they would not be where they are today. Most of our families today, a vast majority of them actually, are growing up without the father figure in the home. These kids today, and I have some grandchildren that are doing the same thing. They failed. They were not disciplined as children. And it's sad to see what the results of that are. These people have no respect for anything or anyone. They don't even respect themselves. They certainly will not talk to you about God because they don't know anything about God, because they've not been taught about it unless a mother or a grandmother did. But there were no boundaries placed upon them by a father figure. And I think that the father figure, it does more in establishing boundaries because he's bigger, he's stronger. And I'm going to say this. Some may disagree, but you're entitled to your opinion. There's absolutely nothing wrong with fear motivation in boys until they're about 35 years old. After that, there may come some respect after they become fathers. I remember, actually I had to look them back up, the 7 promises of the Promise Keepers elicited from those who would listen. And they were also the 7 promises of God. Number 1, God promises us, I will be with you. Fathers, you need to be with your children. And for those of us who are kind of long in the tooth, we have those around us who look to us. Perhaps they didn't have a father, or perhaps their father has gone home. Be with them. Set an example for them. God says, I will protect you. I have stated in my 10 years as a pastor that I grew up probably with the safest childhood that a man could possibly have. My hero that lived across the road from me, his name was John Palmer. John was 250 pounds as a senior in high school. Nobody messed with Big John. John was my friend and he protected me, and when I got home there was my dad. Nobody messed with me. God does the same thing. He will protect us if we will let him. God promises, I will be your strength. Fathers, be the strength. Show the strength of character, not necessarily the strength of stature, but the strength of character to your children. God says, I will always answer you. Sometimes we have to wait for his answers, but he does answer us. Fathers, answer your children. God says, I will provide for you. Fathers, we need to provide for our children. God says, I will bring you peace. Well, if you've been in a home where there's 5 or 6 little people, I don't know where you're going to find peace. But it's there. It is there. And God promises, I will always love you. That is the thing. I was speaking to someone earlier here this morning, and I've said this to the congregation before. We underestimate the power of our presence. Sometimes just simply being in the presence of your Father. Gary carried his grandchildren fishing this week, and I remember my dad taking me fishing. These are special times. Because we spend more time trying to be successful We need to spend more time being godly. Let these kids see a godly man, not so much so a successful man. I submit to you that if you become a godly man, you will also be a successful man. There's some characteristics of a godly father, and I've listed them as such. A godly father loves God. How can he give away what he does not have? Fathers, if you don't have a right relationship with God, call me, talk to me. I will come to you, and we will talk about that relationship and how it affects you and how it will affect your children. It's impossible almost to have a right relationship with someone else and not have a right relationship with God. Number two, let your children see that you love your wife, love their mother, honor her, respect her, give her the respect that she deserves. Open the car door for her. Let them see you open the car door for their mother. Let them see you pull the chair out from the table for your mother. Let him see you help your mother, help his mother wash the dishes or make up the bed or take the clothes out of the washing machine and put them in the dryer. Whatever your sons see you do to their mother is exactly how they are going to treat their own wives later in life. A godly father loves his children. Love for children is sometimes difficult. It takes more than saying, I love you, although one of the greatest things I ever heard as I remember as a child, my dad said, I love you. I knew that he meant it. Don't miss your children's childhood. You only get one chance at that. Don't miss it. Be there. Fathers, don't be afraid to discipline your children. If you love your children, discipline them. People today want to talk to their children. Now, we talked about that. I've heard this. In fact, it's been very recently. We talked about this. You shouldn't do that. But yet the child does it anyway, even hits his mother. That was a death sentence about 70 years ago. To draw back to hit your mom? You better go see the preacher because your life's over. The Bible is very succinct in this. If you spare the rod, you're going to spoil the child. And I think that our television today is full of evidence of spoiled children. They want their way, determined to have their way, regardless of the consequences to anyone else. Do not be afraid to discipline. If you love them, discipline them. And folks, I'm going to tell you, disciplining children is not easy. If you go to a restaurant and you see a family with children who are disciplined and well behaved, thank them and tell them you know that that takes a lot of hard work. The rioters today are children of the homes who never had any discipline. Children view time that you spend with them as love. We think about quality time. We think about quantity time. Don't worry about that. Just be there. They know through your presence that you love them. Just sit them on your knees and listen to them. Some of the things that you hear what makes absolutely no sense, but don't necessarily disagree with them. Never miss an opportunity to be with your kids. The most important lessons that they're ever going to learn in life, they're going to learn from you. And these are not lessons that you've told. They are lessons that they have seen from you. Sometimes words are necessary, but our actions are so much louder to children than our words. They forget the words, but they will not forget the actions. A godly father is a man of integrity, a man who does what he says he'll do. The Bible is succinct about that again. Do not be conformed to this world. Let your children see you doing the right thing, not the expedient or not the socially accepted, but the right thing. Let them see that. They won't forget it. That's more than a lesson for children, it's a lesson for us to continue to do the right thing, to continue being a person of integrity. The fifth thing is a godly father is a role model. 90% of people today, not necessarily children, we grew up with it as children, our perception of God is what we saw as a perception of our fathers. We need to be positive role models. Let them see, let them know that their father was a godly man. Even to the point sometimes, fellas, that it is not popular, it is not expedient, it will probably cost you. But the respect of your children is greater than the respect of your peers. Make no mistake about that. Too many of our homes today are growing up without the father. Most of you who are fathers in neighborhoods know of children whose father is absent. Sometimes it's deliberate and sometimes it's not. Let those children see a godly man. Most girls will marry a man just like their father. Remember that. We need to be the men of self-imposed boundaries. Let your children see God through you. Don't send them to church. Bring them. Most children today are going to judge God by you. That's a responsibility that we should not take lightly. It's also true. They say how earthly fathers live their lives as godly men. Then they will trust a godly God. But if we make promises that we do not keep, then we'll grow up thinking that maybe God doesn't keep his promises either. Let them see God through you. If you've become kind of long in the tooth as I have, know that there are young people around you in your life, in your neighborhood, or where else, who are looking to you as a father figure. Do not let them down. Be the man that they need for you to be. Let them see Jesus through you. Show them God's character. Show them God's integrity. Show them God's promise keeper. Let them see and feel and know God's love through you. I want to close with yet another hymn today. We are one body with many parts. Are we all apostles? Are we all prophets? Are we all teachers? Do we have the power to do miracles? Do we have the gift of healing? Do we have the ability to speak in unknown languages? Do we all have the ability to interpret unknown languages? Of course not. But to our children, we are. To our children, we are omnipotent. We can do anything. We can fix anything. We can make all wrongs right simply by the way we live. Gentlemen, today I would admonish you to be the man that God has called you to be. Be the worship leader of your family. And let others see Jesus in you. Amen. I want to thank Gary today for being here to bring a little more polish to the transmission.
Just a
Thank
tiny
Larry
bit.
for
You
ringing
did
the bell
good.
this morning.
You did good last weekend. I was proud of you.
Thank you. God bless you.
See you next
Happy
week.
Father's Day.